Sade-Sati, Sade-Sati, Sade-Sati. That's right. Well guys, today we're going to be covering the most fearful and the most popular and the most favorite subject of everybody, Sade-Sati, backed by popular demand. Right, like everybody wants Sade-Sati backed by popular demand. Right, look at the analogy and that, the pun, and that hopefully you recognize that. So Sade-Sati, what is Sade-Sati? As you saw from my interview yesterday with the great Mark Boney, how the research team in India with Kapiel Raaj talked about Sade-Sati and did a research on Sade-Sati and didn't really find too many comprehensive results with that. The one they think of as negative results, okay? So here's the thing, I made a video on Sade-Sati before, but today I will tell you exactly when the Sade-Sati effects are negative, okay? And let's clear up some misconception too. Sade-Sati is not really Sade-Sati. Sade-Sati simply means 7.5 years. 7. Sade-Sati is a 7.5 years of Saturn transit in your horoscope. Anytime when Saturn is 12th from your moon, all the way to it moves second place from your moon, birth moon, it's a 7.5 year cycle because Saturn transits 2.5 years from each house or each sign. So if your moon is in Aries and Saturn comes into Pisces over on yearly transit and then transits for 2.5 years from over the moon and before the moon and then 2.5 years after the moon, that's 7.5 years. So people fear this in India. They think big havoc, big negative things are going to happen. But what they don't understand is this one little word that can take away the two arms of this 7.5 year cycle. It's called Dhaya. Dhaya means 2.5 years. Dhaya is just a 2.5 year period when Saturn is moving over your birth moon. Okay, so there's 7.5 years and then there's 2.5 years. Okay, so this is what you guys need to know about 7.5 year period of Sade-Sati. It's not really affecting the way you think it's affecting. It's not really doing the damage that you think it's doing for 7.5 years. You know, that's not true. And we talked about, me and Mark Boney yesterday, that how many famous people have succeeded in their Sade-Sati, especially for Indira Gandhi, whose Saturn is a Marka lord, 7th and 8th house lord, and it went over her moon, made her prime minister. Okay, and I'm going to tell you today why. So for some people it's good, why for some people it's bad. So here's the thing: forget about Sade-Sati, but only concentrate on Dhaya, meaning 2.5 years of Saturn transit over your moon. That is when you are fully pressured. You're fully, under pressure, depressed, and everything seems to be getting constrained in your life. So whenever Saturn transits over your moon, that's when people really think that, Sade-Sati is happening, because now they're really feeling the pressure. While in fact, it's just a 2.5 years. Okay. If I really go back and look back at my Sade-Sati that when I went through, it was actually really the time that Saturn went over my moon more than before or after. And in analysis, Saturn really starts affecting the moon when it's 35 to 40 degrees before the moon. Okay, so let's say if your moon is at 20 degrees Aries, that means when Saturn is at around, probably I would say 20 degrees or 25 degrees Pisces, that's when it starts affecting your moon, meaning bringing pressure onto you. Whatever you think about, whatever you want to accomplish, which starts from your mind before anything else, becomes constrained. You're not able to think properly to achieve your goals. That's what happens. This is why you think Saturn is blocking everything in your life. Because if you have plans to open up a restaurant business during that time and suddenly things go haywire, it's not because things are going haywire against your will. No, it's because of the fact you started making decisions during that time. Like instead of taking a deal from this banker, you took a deal from this banker who later screwed you on in getting a loan to open up your restaurant. That's how it affects you. And that's the crucial time when it really affects you. But even in this time, Saturn can actually make you determine make you disciplined, organized, and actually make you make a right decision. But that doesn't really happen just simply by Saturn going over your moon. You have to know that moon, what sign moon is in and what nakshatra moon is in, that is one significator of when moon will feel really troubled. If moon is debilitated, moon is in a sign of Capricorn, moon is in a sign of Aquarius, or moon is in a sign of Aries, or if moon is in the nakshatra of Ketu and in the nakshatra of Saturn. And when Saturn is going over that moon, that's when these people really feel that the world is coming upon them. Okay? But that is, again, half the story in Sade-Sati, or Dhaya, I should say. I keep saying Sade-Sati because that's the video is about, but it's really, I'm talking about Dhaya. Forget, one house before and one house after. It's only when it's going over, starting 30 degrees before your moons. Okay, so that's when it really starts, but the majority of it really starts when it comes in the same sign as your moon. Okay, it just starts, you start feeling a little bit when it's like 20 degrees away from your moon or 30 degrees away from your moon. But it's only that crucial time when it's in that same sign. So now, who really gets affected? Who really makes the bad decision? Who really loses their wealth in Sadesati? For this, ladies and gentlemen, you have to know the process of Arudha Lagna. How to calculate your Arudha Lagna. And for that, I've actually made the video here. If you click on the video here, this is the Arudha Lagna video that I made literally 4 years ago from a webcam. This is how old I've known all these things. And actually, I believe it was an article of Das Gurvani. It was like a 10-page article on Arudha Lagna that I came upon, and I read everything and just understood that and Upapada. So in Arudha Lagna, what Arudha Lagna is, it is an image of yourself that you calculate in your chart on how the world sees you, on how the world perceives you as. What's your image into the world? Arudha means illusion, and Lagna means ascendant, the illusionary ascendant. That people, when they see me, what they think of me. A lot of people keep guessing, I'm this ascendant, that's ascendant, right? And what you notice that people usually always guess my Arudha Lagna right, more than my real ascendant. Whenever you say, oh, Kapiel, I think you're this ascendant. And I'm like, damn, that is actually my Arudha Lagna. Okay? So this is how you judge Sadesati from that. And the way you do it, actually, that I haven't discussed, is that if your Saturn is going over your birth moon, and your moon is in the ascendant of your Arudha Lagna, that is when you will really feel depressed, down, your image in the society will be tarnished, and you will just really feel like shit in this 2.5 year period. And Arudha Lagna is simply calculated from counting how many places your ascendant is from your house, from your ascendant, and then count that many places away, and whatever sign that is your Arudha Lagna. If it happens in the 7th house, you count the 4th house, okay? And I believe if it happens in the 1st house, you count the 10th house. So this is how you do it. Now, there's some controversy in this as well, and some confusion, because I believe Kapiel Raaj says that if the ascendant Lord is in the 7th house, you don't count 10 places away from it. You actually just count the 7th place, which means your ascendant is your Arudha Lagna, which I'm starting to get a hold of. So even if you're watching this video of Arudha Lagna, I suggest you wait a bit more till I can gather more information on Arudha Lagna, because Kapiel Raaj is going pretty unorthodox in this, because the way Arudha Lagna is calculated is quite different than what he says. So, and he is literally the master of it, so I have to question these things. So until this is verified and I really see which works, this is that's how Arudha Lagna should be calculated. But the way this can be tested is by looking at your own Sade-Sati. Was your moon in the ascendant from the traditional Sade-Sati, traditional Arudha Lagna calculation of this video, or was it from how Kapiel Raaj says it? Now I know for many of you this is alien language, Arudha Lagna. But just watch my video for Arudha Lagna. Actually, the link is below. I'll put the link below. If you're not able to, just click it here. But I'll put the link below for the video. So anytime your moon is in the ascendant of Arudha Lagna and Saturn goes over it, that's when the bad time is. Now, the good time. Now, rise in Sade-Sati comes when obviously moon is situated in a very good sign, exalted like Taurus, his own sign, Cancer, in Pisces, Sagittarius, okay, or in a sign like Libra, and sign obviously, as I said, Taurus. So that is when Saturn produces, moon produces better results, and especially if it's sitting in a nakshatra of Jupiter, that's when it also produces good results during Sadesati. But the third, again, most important method to see is when Saturn is from your Arudha Lagna, when moon is in the 10th house from your Arudha Lagna and Saturn goes over it, and moon is situated in this sign, that becomes rise of your career, rise of your status, rise of your image into the world. Because again, we're using Arudha Lagna. We're using your illusionary image into the world. And from that, and remember, fame is illusionary. So this is why for fame, especially if you want to see you're famous, look at your Arudha Lagna. And from that, if moon is in the 10th house in these particular signs, or other signs which becomes neutral, that dhaya will actually be good for your career. And if from your Arudha Lagna, 10th Lord is strong or aspects moon while Saturn is going over it, that's another strong indication, really strong indication that you will rise in your career, rather suffer. But from Arudha Lagna, if moon goes into the ascendant, 6th, 8th or 12th house, that's when you will really feel the effects of the negative side of Arudha Lagna, especially your physical body. Like you getting into small minor accidents, or you might getting sick, or you might getting your image tarnished, because your first house is your image, your self body. Okay, so this is how you calculate Sadesati, but not really Sadesati again. Dhaya. Forget about the Sadesati part. When Saturn moves away 20 degrees away from your moon's degree from birth, it has left. Now you're back to your own karma. Now you're back to your own cycle of Jupiter, or own cycle of, Mahadasha lords, whether it's Jupiter or not, or your planetary yogas, bad yoga, good yogas, and Charadasha. But in reality, rise and fall in Dhaya should be seen from Arudha Lagna. Okay? So this was my analysis of Sadesati, you guys, or Dhaya. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Saturn is currently transiting, or where your moon and other planetary placements are placed, for that, check out the links here and check out my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light, including your full astrological report so you can study everything in your chart. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with our KRS show. Bye-bye.